Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your Rocktober hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and this is the show where we review all the anime series from the previous season we did and didn't watch start to finish. After a month-long break, we're back with a bang and an XXL-sized episode to head off this new anime season. So first, John will bring you his little con report from New York Comic Con, because he hit the show floor last weekend and has some impressions from that event. Then, of course, we will talk about the many new shows from fall season that premiered over the course of the last 2 weeks. And last but not least, we got our first review from summer season. Well, technically it's a spring show that ran all through and ended in summer, but whatever! It's My Hero Academia Season 2, and we'll talk about that and many other things today, right here. So strap in, folks. It's gonna be a long one. We'll be right back.
Yes, it was that magical time of year where I left my home and went out of state to New York Comic Con.
Did you meet up with another friend of ours, as usual, or...?
No, he went on a different day, so we didn't get to see each other this year.
That's a shame. But you had fun nonetheless.
Yes.
Did New York treat you well?
Checking into the hotel was a little bit of a chore, but whatever, that's fine.
It happens.
It started off with, hey, the hotel systems are down, so you can't check in. All right, okay. So we went to Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, and that was a thing.
But it's funny, when I went to Madame Tussauds, I think it was somewhere in the Netherlands or something, I was in high school, and I just stepped up to a figure of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I was like, man, that guy is much smaller than I expected. Granted, I am 6'5", but still.
It's kind of weird because, some of the mannequins, they look pretty good. They look, reasonably similar enough to they're supposed to be portraying. And there are some that's like, who the fuck are you?
It's weird. They don't always get it right.
They had one there of Will Smith. I was like, this does not look like Will Smith. I'm sorry. But enough of creepy wax figures with dead doll eyes.
Yeah. Exactly. We're not talking about Berserk here. Hey!
Yo! So Comic-Con.
Yes.
What did I go do? Well, I went and played video games. I had 4 games in mind that I wanted to hit up. The first was Code Vein, which is...
Anime Souls.
It is very much steampunk, undead... anime Souls, as you might expect. They were doing a thing, or if you could beat the boss within the time limit that they had set, which was, I believe, 15 minutes, you'd win a shirt. I did not win a shirt. I got close, but, close doesn't count when the boss has 1% life and you wipe on it.
So does the anime style work well for the game? I've seen a few trailers here and there, and I wasn't too impressed with the environments and everything, but I like the overall design of the characters and stuff. So,
I mean, the character and enemy designs are cool. So I'm pretty sure that this game was worked on by the God Eater team, which might explain a lot of that away. Mm-hmm. So. But, it's neat. I'll probably end up checking out, even though I'm still 2 Soulsborne games behind. John's backlog grows forever and ever.
Yes. I mean, 2017 alone has probably, pushed you back.
What are you kidding? This month alone.
Yeah.
So after that, I headed over to ye old Square Enix, and I tried out Lost Sphere. Mm-hmm. And it's a very, traditional turn-based RPG. It's got, the timed hit mechanic from, the first game my mind goes to is Mario RPG, but it's also been about a million other games as well. But it's in there, and it's kind of weird. It was a really short demo, but it was neat. I liked it.
It's from the team that made I Am Sensei, right?
Yes, Tokyo RPG Factory, I believe.
Okay. All right.
So I'll probably end up checking that out. I mean, the $50 price tag for a download-only game seems a bit prohibitive, though.
Yeah. I got enough other RPGs, waiting for many years. Secret of Mana remake and Octopath Traveler, the demo of that was really good.
Yeah, it was.
So, yeah.
But funny you should mention Secret of Mana, because at the booth right behind Lost Sphere was Secret of Mana.
And how does it look like on screen?
It looked like it was running pretty well. I didn't get a hands-on because all of the booths were held up, but it looks like it was running at 60 frames a second. The character models and the animations look nice. Sure, I'll play Secret of Mana again.
I hope we'll end up getting a physical version in the end, although right now it doesn't look like it.
Hey, Square, how about localizing Seiken Densetsu 3 someday for us?
Just bring over that collection they brought out for the Switch in Japan. I don't know what's the problem there.
I don't understand either. Maybe someday.
Maybe they'll bring that out at the same time they bring out the remake for PS4, just in a big Secret of Mana swoop celebration or something.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it too, but let me hope.
The last game, there were two other games I got a hands-on with, excuse me. One of the other ones was I played a new build of Bloodstained, and, that game is still Castlevania as hell, and I'm super excited for it.
Does it look any different graphics-wise from the last beta they had out that you could download?
I mean, it seems about the same, but the looks of the game don't really bother me. So
I like the look too. It's just, some of the stages didn't have that impressive backgrounds while others did, and the animation could still have used some work. I was just wondering.
It was kind of funny because when I finished playing, put down the controller and took the headphones off, one of the guys at the booth was like, so did you enjoy it? Hell yeah. Are you going to be picking up? You already got my Kickstarter money, my dude.
Yeah, mine too. This giant-ass expensive version 2 with art book and everything. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I just went for the disc version because I saw the other ones and I was like, woof.
Yeah, I am just, I'm hoping this will turn out better than Mighty Number 9.
I'm pretty sure it's on its way to being better because, you're setting the bar pretty low.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, I got my fucking art book of Mighty Number 9 lying here, so at least that's nice. The rest is kind of very cheap. But at least with that, like I said, it's really kind of, I don't know, fitting, ironic, whatever you might want to call it, that the one thing I got out of that whole mess that I really liked was the Mighty Number 9 t-shirt. I enjoyed that really much, and that was the shirt I was wearing when I had my bicycle accident, and so the paramedics cut that off my bleeding body. So, well, so much for that. Well, yeah, but I'm hopeful that Bloodstained will turn out well, because
like I said,
Iga seems to have his things together.
Yeah, I mean, from the two builds I've played, I'm pretty sure it's gonna work out just fine.
Yeah. And the last game you checked out?
The last game I checked out was Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle.
Anime fighter to the max.
It's so hype. It is the hypest shit. I was fighting against some guy who was cosplaying Ryu, and we were both like, yo, this is dope as hell. It looks great. It plays well. It's super cool, and I can't wait for it.
So this is crossing over like 4 series: Blaze Blue, Under Night Birth,
Blaze Blue, Under Night in Birth.
That's right.
Ruby and
Persona.
And Persona 4 Arena, right?
So I think while kind of similar, these games all have different fighting, engines in a way. So what do we get? Do we get like a groove system like in Capcom vs. SNK 2, or is it a completely new thing?
It seems like it's a new sort of thing. It's difficult to explain because, I only had a couple minutes hands-on with it. And so trying to figure out all the stuff that was going on was a little, overwhelming.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll be able, when the game comes out, we'll have more time with it.
But it was
fun. Yes, it was super hype and it looked cool and it played great. So
And hey, I have a good, the story of that will probably huge nonsense anyway, so I
of course, it's every crossover game.
Yeah, so I can pick it up immediately and don't have to worry about missing out on later story beats or anything. So.
I mean, have you seen the story mode in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite? Whoa.
No.
Oh, no.
I think I'm going to wait for a Game of the Year complete edition for that game, concerning, that a lot of characters are coming as DLC and everything, so whatever.
Yeah.
But
those were the games I tried out, and then there was the merch. I went in there knowing, all right, I'm going to get this, and I'm going to get that. I went by the Good Smile booth, and there was so much stuff. But I managed to walk away with only a Figma of Saber Lily, and I was proud of myself that I had some level of self-control. Yay.
Nice.
then I went to the Bluefin booth thinking, oh, I'm going to get a Star-Burning Gundam model, and that's going to be it. We're going to be good. Well, they don't have Star-Burning Gundam here, but they have this clear plastic see-through Build Strike, and they have Super Fumina, and they have the EZ-8, and I walked out of there with 3 gunplay.
You are doomed.
And then I found Image Anime's booth later on. Oh, look, here's Star-Burning Gundam.
Well, now you have to get that too.
So instead of leaving with 1 gunpla like I planned, I left with 4 because I'm stupid.
Have you built any of those yet?
Nope.
Well, there you go.
I have a pile of, I think it's 10 unbuilt gunpla and Hayate's Valkyrie from Macross Delta now.
Oh, nice. Oh, I would like that too.
So someday.
Though I would probably like a transformable version of that.
I think it might be transferable. I'm not sure. Someday I'll crack it open.
Like in a finished action figure version of that.
Right.
Can be transformed like a Transformer. Just one of them masterpiece Transformers, just as a Valkyrie. I don't know if they'd make something like that, probably.
But yeah, the floor was crazy, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
Trying to get through Artist Alley at the end of the night was like, I don't want to be stuck in this huge crowd.
I can imagine. So is this still like? Do they still share like one building with New York Anime Fest, or how does this work?
I think they just kind of merged together, and now it is what it is, basically.
Because before they were like separated, right?
Yes. Also, the Javits Center has been going under construction this year, so they kind of laid it out a bit differently, and also because of the construction, they were like, oh, you can't buy 3-day passes this year, which is kind of like, all right, sure. So I ended up only going 1 day instead, and I was a little put off by that, to be honest.
Okay.
But I feel like 1 day was enough to see everything I wanted to see.
All right. Were there any interesting guests that you caught a wind of, anime related or not?
Well, if there were, we didn't really have enough time to go to any panels, so. Okay. But, I know I think there was like a big Crunchyroll panel, like some Viz Media stuff. I don't know off the top of my head if they had any big guests. I'm sure they must have, but.
Yeah. What were the most prolific booths and franchises? Like, what is the big thing that got pushed for this year that you saw everywhere pretty much, or just a giant booth for?
Well, I mean, I think the largest booth was probably Rooster Teeth's. It seemed like it took up the most space on the floor anyway.
Okay.
Because there's 2 areas for the show floor. There's one where it's mostly like larger exhibitors, and then there's like a strip in the middle that's like part of Artist Alley, and then after that there's some big exhibitors, and then the smaller booths are all past that. It's kind of broken up a little weirdly because like in one room there's always like Good Smile, Crunchyroll, Rooster Teeth, Triforce. There was even an Amazon one because whatever. And then on the other side is where Square Enix, Konami, and by Konami I mean only Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, Bandai Namco.
Not much. It's not like Konami has much left these days.
Yeah, about that. And then after that is like there's some smaller ones, but there's also like local exhibitors like Video Games New York and Image Anime, which I believe, well, obviously VGNY is local to New York. I believe Image Anime is as well. And there was a stand for Kino Kuniya as well, which is like one of the big bookstores in the city too.
Okay, seems packed.
Oh, it very much.
All right.
I mean, at one point there was a procession of Deadpools just sort of going across the show floor.
See, that would be my next question, since you mentioned a Ryu cosplayer earlier. What's the hottest thing among cosplayers right now? I mean, Deadpool, I guess, is a
there's always
all-time
Deadpools.
favorite.
There's always Deadpools.
Yeah.
No, pick any con, there will be a Deadpool. How many Deadpools? A lot.
And what was the most prolific anime cosplay or manga cosplay that you've seen?
I feel like there wasn't really any one that stood out in terms of quantity, to be honest.
Okay. Anything quality-wise that impressed you?
I snapped a few photos and put it on my Twitter, but there was one of this one amazing Miku cosplay, like as in Miku Hatsune, of this one costume that I don't think I'd ever really seen anyone cosplay before. It's her appearance from 7th Dragon 2020, like one of the games that wasn't ever localized over here, but it's a neat outfit, and she had made it herself, and it looked really nice, so I had to take a picture of that. There was this one girl who had this really awesome C2 from Code Geass.
Ah, okay.
And then there was a whole cavalcade of other characters in there. Surprising that there was as few Attack on Titan as there were, considering the second season had wrapped up earlier this year, and got to get on the hype train for the third season next year.
Did you, considering our review this episode, did you see any My Hero Academia cosplay?
I think I saw an Uraraka, an Ida, and a Deku.
Okay, I wonder how popular that show is over here right now in that regard. So that's what I was asking. But yeah, cool. Cool stuff. I want to go one day. I don't know when I'll manage to. Flying over to America is costly. But eventually, I'll make it. I hope. So we'll
Someday.
see. And then we'll make a double con report. And maybe we'll actually visit some anime channels. We'll see. Panels, not channels.
Because last year when we went for 3 days, a mutual friend of ours and I sat in on the Bandai Namco RPG panel, and that was a thing.
All right.
I mean, they announced
sound too interesting.
They announced some neat stuff there, but it was mostly stuff that we already knew, and we're just waiting on release dates for, like Berseria, and I think there was something else that we already knew. And then, hey, the obligatory sword art game.
Yeah. I guess, if you want to go for specific anime, announcements and everything at Big Guess, you go to other cons. This is not necessarily the one to go. It's just like a...
Yeah, you go to Otakon or Anime Expo.
It's just like a pretty high-profile overall fan convention, I guess, a big convention. So that's why it's interesting. It's always nice to see what's hot, what's not. Maybe cool. That, I guess, does it for our little recon, and we're gonna move into our ginormous sneak peek for this episode. So stay tuned. Alright, here we are in the sneak peek, and fall season just started, so we got a bunch of shows to talk about. We always switch back and forth. I think last time John had more shows than I did, maybe? I'm not sure anymore, it's been too many at this point. But
I don't remember now, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. I think you did. Anyway, so this time, again, I got more. So I don't know how we will structure this. Maybe I will 2 in a row once in a while. We'll see. Let me start off with the show I know we both watched, because it is a new season of a show that I've already talked about on our show, on episode 20 to be exact. That episode was called Food Gang Wars, so by now you know what show that is, probably. It's Food Wars, season 3, Shokugeki no Soma. And, if you want to know the basics of that show, go back and listen to that episode if you haven't yet. But not much to say about the third season yet. The story picks up where it left off at the second one. They ended on kind of internships in real restaurants and stuff like that. And now they're back to school, and Soma has got it in his head to challenge at least one of the top 10 elite chefs at his high school. So there will be shokugekis galore, I imagine. And there's a festival coming up and a special event. And it looks all really promising. That show is super fun, which I didn't expect. It's a super good shonen show, despite its premise, which didn't sound so enticing in the beginning for me. But then I heard a lot of positive feedback, so I got into it and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to more this season. And John, you recently caught up, I think. Had a huge Food Wars binge.
Yeah, it took me the better part of 2 months to get all caught up. But at first I was kind of like, whatever. But it grew on me, and I really like it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what sort of trouble Soma gets himself into. Out of the frying pan into the fire you get. It's a cooking joke.
I was wondering if you were tired out at this point, or if you were still looking forward to more Food Wars.
Well, I had a long enough break of like maybe a better part of 3/4 of a month between when I finished season 2. So,
all right, yeah. I mean, this is not a deep or thought-provoking show in any way.
No. It's just don't watch it on an empty stomach.
Oh yeah, it's super tasty. And it's also kind of lewd.
Yeah.
If you are not fine with that, if you are not fine with your kinky imagery, then I don't know, maybe will turn off by some of it. But I think it's handled pretty well and pretty creatively, and it's pretty fun overall. It's a really enjoyable show, and if you like food and are interested to know more about food, I think that show is also pretty fun and interesting. And yeah, it's just a very enjoyable show, much more than I expected it to when I first heard about its premise and everything. So yeah, looking forward to more. John, something you checked out.
Something I checked out. I'll pick something that I know I know only I watch, so that way we'll make this work out.
Yes.
How about we'll talk about Blend S?
Okay.
So Blend S is about this girl, Maika Sakura no Miya. Japanese names, man.
We should be used to it by now, but yeah.
I feel like you're right, but every so often there's these names, and I'm just like, it comes out as word vomit for me.
Believe me, I know the feeling.
So Maika is a younger lady, and she dreams of studying abroad, but, she just can't afford to do so. She doesn't want to make trouble for her family, so she sets about trying to find a job, and she can't find one. Boy, this all is it starts off too real. But one day she happens upon this cafe called Steel, and she becomes a waitress there. But it's not an ordinary waitress job though, because all of the girls there play into different character traits. It's one of those kind of cafes. So this one girl, Kaho, is like this, takes on the role of being a tsundere. This other girl, Mafuyu, takes on like the little sister role. And Maika, she gets stuck as playing the role of like a sadist.
Oh no. Well, does she enjoy it? I mean, if it's all an act.
It somehow comes almost disturbingly natural to her.
Oh boy.
Because she's not sure she can play the role, but then it just sort of ends up happening for her. So, she kind of grits her teeth and runs with it because, work is work, man.
So is this like, I don't know, from what you're describing, it sounds a bit like working? Fun setup? Just with, the twist that they act in a certain character way.
I mean, I guess you could look at it that way. It does have the commonality that it is animated by A1, so...
Okay. And it's both playing in a restaurant, I guess?
Yes. So. And, all of the goofy happenings that go on between all of the characters. And, it obviously talked about shows like this before with working. But I'll see how it pans out. Because, the characters are at least silly and have a neat dynamic between one another. But I don't know if I'll stick with it. We'll see. But it could be enjoyable.
Okay. Sounds fun enough. We'll see how if this ends up being a review or not. But let's bring down the mood with a real stinker. And my first insta-drop from fall season, Dies Irae. I'm probably going to curse a lot, so be aware.
Your discretion is advised.
Explicit content approaching. So apparently this Turd Mountain was crowdfunded in 2015, and it's based on a visual novel from 2007. And from what I can gather from having watched episode 000, whatever you want to call it, and the Wikipedia entry, I had to read that because I wasn't sure what was happening in the first episode. It was kind of unclear. So this apparently is about a bunch of Nazis performing some kind of ritual during World War II and then time traveling re-emerging in current-day Japan as an unstoppable super Nazi force. And there's this guy who had a fight with his best friend and he somehow is connected to the whole mystic Nazi shit. Okay, listen. Here's the deal.
Oh boy.
I get the attraction of Nazis as general or supernatural villains because there is ultimate evil thing everybody knows about. And, Hellsing did that and many other series as well. And I'm fine with that. Whatever.
But
as long as they are clear villains, that's all right. Where I draw the line, and what you shouldn't fucking do, is put an actual person from the events of World War II, in this case, Reinhard Heydrich, who, by the way, was one of the leading members of the SS and one of the main executives, if not the main executive in the fucking Holocaust. What you don't do is put that prime example of human garbage in your show and make him a blondie bishonen badass who struts around like he's the coolest motherfucker on the planet. Why would you do that? Are you mental? Get the fuck out, Japan. Holy shit. Like, I couldn't believe it. I know that guy from history, from like history class. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is he... I mean, I get why he's the main antagonist, but why is he like portrayed as this cool badass who's like, oh, I don't have any feelings, but man, I'm the strongest guy there is, and I'm so fucking cool, look at me. What the fuck? Like, they even put that asshole on the end title card with like a cool side gaze and everything. Don't fetishize and idolize a real monster like that. Are you nuts? This is fucking crazy. I mean, I know that Japan has a real problem with reappraising the events of World War II, and especially coming to grips with their role in it. But come the fuck on. Like, holy shit. Whoever wrote that shit into the visual novel or the anime, you should be ashamed of yourself. And the people who crowdfunded this should be ashamed too. Rant over. And basically what this tirade boils down to is, please don't watch these either. The animation sucks too, by the way, so I guess that's another good reason. Fuck this to the moon and back. So, yeah. Don't watch it. It sucks.
Good talk.
John,
good talk.
Please rescue the show.
Good talk. Good talk. Good talk.
Yeah.
All right. So next show is a little something called Two Car.
Oh yeah.
So Two Car is about these girls, Irae and Megumi, who take part in the style of motorcycle racing. I believe that I've found a few different names for it. I believe it's called Sidecar TT, as well as the vehicles are called like Racing Kneelers.
Okay.
Basically, the premise of the sport is that it's two people on a motorcycle, but there's like a sidecar where the rider is basically like leaning in and out of like turns to, increase their speed and, and to give more maneuverability to the driver, that sort of thing.
It sounded interesting. I thought when I read this, the summary for the show that it would be that this would be more like a rally thing, and he would like have to do navigation or something like that, or she. But well, apparently,
I would assume that's inherent in the fact that you don't have like it's not really a co-driver. I guess you could really call it a co-driver, but basically, Irae and Megumi are complete opposites, and they butted each other's heads all the time, but somehow their skills complement each other while they're on the track. But they aim to be the best, win at nationals, in following the footsteps of their mentor, and compete in the Isle of Man TT competition, which is a very real competition, by the way. I did a little bit of research on this show, to be honest. So, I guess this show is supposed to be Silver Link's big, 10th anniversary celebration. And it seems like it could be cool, because I don't really...
Does it look the part?
From the first couple of episodes, it looks decent so far.
Okay.
So, and I don't think there's really been something that covers sport quite like this before in any kind of fiction that I can think of. So, seems like neat, uncharted territory.
Yeah, anime is always interesting when it comes to picking out, sports that are not that popular but work really well in anime for some reason. Or sports that I would say, I'm so not interested in that in real life, and in anime it totally works. For example, Yowamushi no Paddle, which is about bicycle racing and a sport I'm totally not interested in, and then the anime makes it super interesting. So Is this does the series make the sport look interesting of sidecar racing?
It seems like it'd be cool. They try and hype it up a bit, and they have all sorts of neat angles going on. Of there's one where they're cornering, you can see the grass coming up underneath them. It's okay, that seems pretty exciting, to be honest.
Is this a little initial D-ish?
a little bit without, the Eurobeat music.
That's a shame.
Sorry, there's no.
That would have instantly made me watch the show.
The music is pretty good, though, from the first couple of episodes. The one little wrinkle in there that I'm not quite sure about is it seems like Irae and Megumi both want to bone their mentor, and it's kind of
if it's,
I hope it doesn't turn into anything too gross later on down the line, but I guess I'll find out.
Is the age disparity too big, or?
They don't really show what you like. His face is always out of view, so there's a little bit of mystique. Whoa. But it's clear there is some gulp in their ages, so it's kind of I don't know, dude.
Okay, we'll see where this goes, or you will.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'll probably keep checking it out.
Okay, I'm always interested in sports anime. Wasn't particular this one, just from the setup alone, but maybe keep me updated. Maybe
I guess I was just interested in seeing if Silverlink could hold it together for, an original anime that is celebrating their own anniversary, because, the only other thing that they consistently do good work on is Prisma Ilia. And I'd like to see them do well on something else.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
But anyway, what do you got next?
Next, I got my next drop. Surefire drop, anyway. There's some ones I'm not sure about, but this one I'm sure about, because this is the new Shonen Jump manga adaptation by Studio Pierrot. The studio that made the big hits like Naruto. Well, big hit Bleach. Bleach kind of dropped off after a while, but
Bleach kind of fizzled out, but it wasn't the fault of Kubo, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. But yeah, they made those shows, and it's the other big studio delivering Shonen Jump stuff besides Toei. And I guess at this point, Bones, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so they made those shows, and this is the new show, the adaptation from them, and it's called Black Clover. And in this show's universe, everyone is a magician, basically. Everyone is born with magical powers, except for our main character, Asta, who is an orphan who got delivered at an orphanage together with his friend / brother / rival, Jūni. So he is pretty much like Deku is in My Hero Academia, as he does in a world filled with people with special powers. He doesn't have one. So on the day everyone get bestowed upon their magic grimoires, which is a ritual where, they go into a room and then a book manifests in front of them that, has all the spells that they will use for the rest of their lives and everything. So, yeah, he doesn't get one, of course. At least initially, because when his brother / friend / rival Jūni gets attacked by another powerful magician who wants to steal Yuno's book, because it's like this rare book. The book are categorized by clovers on the book's cover, and his one has a 4-leaf clover, which is very rare, and it's supposed to be super powerful, so that other magician wants it. So when that happens, Asta calls upon a hidden power unknown to him, and before him manifests a super ultra rare 5-clover book, because that exists, of course. And that quickly summons the most mighty magical weapon for him that you can imagine, a sword.
Jesus.
To fight off the attacker. So yeah, this is a standard shonen fare, like, the underdog who doesn't have any powers then turns out to be the strongest of them all for some reason, and the promised child, whatever. So it should be totally up my alley. I dig that kind of stuff, as tried as it is, and, standard fare as it is. But I just couldn't get into it, mainly because of the main character. I'm pretty lenient when it comes to obnoxiously loud and yelly protagonists in shonen anime, but Asta is too much. That guy can't speak a single sentence without yelling and screaming. He even yells when he fucking whispers. So I don't know how that is possible, but he does it. And aside from that, none of the other characters, included in the shows are interesting, really, and don't bring anything new to the table that I haven't seen in other shonen shows. So it's kind of a shame, because I was looking forward to this just in terms of setting alone. And the show actually looks pretty damn great. Got good art and good animation. It's Pierrot, so that might change after the first episode.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, but the first episode looked really good, and, it's fine, but I don't think I can deal a whole season with that main character. It's just, he's too much. His voice actor is really, really annoying, and he's always, yelling the same way. The pronunciation is, the tone he talks in, and the sentences always have, this weird upgoing yell where it's always pronouncing the last syllable and and yeah, it's really annoying. It's just too much. I couldn't handle it. It was nope, I'm out. Sorry. I mean, I tried to stay with Twin Star Exorcist, and that didn't work out. I couldn't even muster my enough motivation to turn that into a Trash Stash review.
Yeah, I think I got 2 episodes into that show, and I was like, I'm good. See ya.
And I lasted for like 20 episodes for that show, and I don't know why. And I'm not going to do that again with Black Clover, because this seems even more obnoxious. So, nope, thank you, pass, drop, and I'm out. So, John, next review from you.
What else would be next? What would a season of John watching anime be without an idol show? What else would it be but Love Live Sunshine 2?
Yes, I knew this was coming.
Yes. Yeah, well, you know, got to go back in one more time, I guess. So basically, the girls of Aqua, as they call them.
Wait, was that a music pun?
No.
All right.
So the girls are back to make a name for themselves at Love Live competition after, you know, they did a good job recruiting students to help keep their school open. And everything's hunky-dory. If the school were in danger of being shut down again, because you know, original plot, do not steal.
It sounds all very familiar.
So one of the girls, Marie, you know, the one who speaks in broken English, she doesn't speak Japanese, if you've seen that clip. She gets a call from her father, who is apparently on like the big bad board of education, and it's like, yeah, so that open house you were going to have to bring in more students, we're shit canning it and closing the school down. We're closing the school down, and you're merging with another school. So it's like, oh, well, you know, from the adult economical perspective, yes, that makes sense. But
it also doesn't have to be a bad thing in general. Like,
but you know,
it's not like they're booting out students, right? I mean,
well, you know, but you know,
drama.
Damn it, we're Japanese high school students, and we have to have school pride.
And high school is everything. There is no life after high school.
There's nothing. There is nothing.
Life ends. It begins and ends with high school. Damn it.
So what can we do to save our school? Well, I suppose if you can recruit 100 students, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll make it happen.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, Chica and the gang have to make an even bigger name for themselves and bring in even more prospective students if they want to keep Uranohoshi High School open. And boy, it's cool being like sitting in that writer's room saying, how can we reuse the same plot? I got it.
Yeah, sure sounds like this is what went on.
So, you know, this is Sunrise wanting more of their idol money. So there you go.
I mean, I can't blame them. I guess that finances, among, you know, aside from Gundam, maybe finances their other projects. So whatever. If it sells.
So, I mean, it's tough for me to stray away from, because stupid idol anime is comfort food.
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, it doesn't. It's one of those genres that, you know, the shows usually look pretty good. Mm-hmm. I mean, this particular season probably has my favorite intro sequence across all of the Love Live series. So it's got points for that, I guess.
Okay. So how does the animation during the music sessions fare? I think you had your gripes with.
They still use a little bit of that CG, but it doesn't seem quite as egregious, or as they're leaning on. Or it doesn't seem like they're leaning on it as heavily. So
not yet, anyway.
Yeah, you know, when the budget dries up, if it dries up, but you know, they still have, you know, that gotcha money from the mobile games. So hey. And they also have the money from all the concerts and the music sales and the merch, and the Love Live will never go away. Because, I mean, at the second Aqua Live a few months back, they were like, hey, here's another group of 9 more girls. And it's like, so what you're saying is, after Sunshine is done, we're going to have Love Live Moonlight? I don't know.
Hey, at least your comfort food will never run out.
I mean, that's true, but I thought that way of the Idolmaster, and the Idolmaster series that's airing this season isn't exactly up my alley.
Yeah, I know. It's geared to another audience.
But, I'm not going to disparage it because everyone's got to have their show. And for all the people who are going to go watch Idolmaster Side M, that's fine. You go ahead and do that. I'll just wait for, I don't know, maybe they'll finally get their heads out of their asses and do Dearly Stars. But probably not, because Million Live and Cinderella Girls are the big thing.
Okay,
but
we'll see.
But, idol anime is idol anime, and I will probably watch Love Live Sunshine.
So we hear a review of it eventually.
Or probably not. I don't know if it'll be a full review, because I'm sure it'll probably fall under the same sort of issues that the first season did. So kind of like how you sort of just like touched on your favorite show the last time we talked with Berserk.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, our season 2 reviews tend to be on the shorter side, and it's how it's supposed to be, with all the setup out of the way and everything. And technically that would be the new season of Love Live, so there you go. And especially if the story is such kind of a carbon copy of the previous one.
Rehashing!
It's cheap and it's tasty. Anyway.
What do you got for us?
Show we both watched. GARO Vanishing Line.
Yeah.
Which is a new entry in the GARO series, a franchise that is originally a tokusatsu show, which means live-action Japanese superhero stuff, which I dabble in once in a while. I've watched some Kamen Rider, I've watched some GARO. It's kind of an anthology show about an order of knights donning armors with wolf heads fighting demons called horrors. And we already had 2 anime adaptations in recent years, one set in kind of a medieval setting, the next one in ancient Japan. And this new one, just like the Toku shows, is set in current time, but with a twist, because it's set in America, not Japan.
Well, America-ish.
Yeah, fictional town. I think it's called Russell Town or something, or Russell City.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I greatly enjoyed the first season of the GARO Tokusatsu show, and I really enjoyed the first season of the GARO anime. Still have to watch the movie for that. Cool story, cool characters, cool art, all of that. Couldn't get into the second one because it kind of lacked everything that made the first one good, in my opinion, at least judging from the first 2 episodes. So, passed on that. But this one so far is great. I think MAPPA is going all out on the animation.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
And I doubt they can keep up that level of quality for all the show's runtime. But I'll enjoy it while it lasts.
I hope they can, because those first 2 episodes looked gorgeous.
Yeah. Even though you could argue there is sometimes a bit too much going on, and the camera is really close, but it's still a lot of fun to look at. The first episode has probably the most sexy piece of meat you have ever seen on screen outside of Food Wars. And no, I'm not talking about the main character, although he is a giant beefcake of a man as well. So if you're not into these kind of 80s style broad-shouldered fist of the North Star hyper masculine characters, this might not be for you. But I appreciate his design because, JoJo aside, we kind of haven't had this type of main hero in a while, at least as far as I can remember. It's usually more the more lean hero types, or
Mm-hmm.
high school boys who are kind of thin and by nature, I guess. So these manly man types, have not been main characters in a while, and I think that's all for diversity. That's interesting to see, and it gives the thing cool 80s vibe or 90s vibe or anything. So yeah, I really enjoyed that show so far. The cast of characters is cool. I wonder where it goes. GARO is always fun most of the time. Like I said, couldn't get into the second anime adaptation, but doesn't mean that it didn't get better later on. But yeah, greatly enjoyed the first one, enjoying this one. John, you seem to be intrigued so far as well.
Yeah, this is my first time watching anything GARO. Back when the PVs were coming out for it, there was, just Vanishing Line. And I was like, oh, this looks really radical. Maybe I'll check it out. And then, like, a few weeks after that, they announced it was GARO Vanishing Line. I was like, oh, all right. I guess it'll be the first time I watch GARO. And just from those first 2 episodes, really exciting, really cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to more of it. Because Sword is great. I love him a lot.
Yeah, he's fun, and his interaction with Luke is also pretty great.
Yeah.
I think they're really great, like I don't know, mismatched buddy cop duo in the show, and yeah, it's good stuff. It's really enjoyable. I wonder where the story goes. I hope it goes somewhere interesting. And yeah, if you enjoy that show, consider going back to the first anime adaptation. That was also really good. Yeah, and for people who are interested in GARO beyond that, there are a bunch of tokusatsu shows from that franchise. Like, I've only watched the first one, but I really enjoyed that one. Pretty cool stuff, pretty dark. But yeah, cool. Next one, John, that you have on the plate.
How about Just Because?
Yes.
So this is a story all about a kid named Eita Izumi. He's moved back to his hometown after about 4 years, and he has a reunion with some old friends and acquaintances, like his best friend Haruto, this photographer girl named Enna, this girl who's like, she seems to serve more as like the mother of her family, because they don't really show off her parents or anything. This girl Hazuki. And then this girl, Mio, who apparently at one point may or may not have had feelings for Eita. I'm leaning more towards the may. But, now that these 5 people's paths have crossed, we're not sure what's going to happen to them. Like, change the course of their lives now that they've all been reunited and whatnot. And sure, I always like a good slice of life show, so I was interested in checking this out. It's an original show, which I always like seeing, that little tag original next to a show, just because, if the show is based on something else or on a manga or an LN, obviously that's 90% of the time going to be the case. But I always like looking at these shows that, don't have any other material before them, just to see, what are these writers coming up with. It's also from a newish studio called Pine Jam, who last season worked on Gamers, which we will talk about eventually, and we both have our opinions on that show. But I will say this, Pine Jam, they do put in the hard work, because the first episode of the show looked really, really nice. And I there was, a lot of the animations, like with Haruto playing baseball and whatnot, the part where he just like tackles Eita after hitting a home run, like I really liked that moment. It was really neat.
Animation, there are a lot of cool emotional animation moments in that show, and some real subtle things like hand gestures and everything, and it's cool stuff animation wise. You assumed that this would be too slice of life for me. I wanted to check it out regardless, but you were right. This is this is just the first episode went too slow for me, and then of course it hinted at this being mainly about, the characters being previously maybe romantically engaged in everything, and that rekindling those flames and then those paths intersecting and everything. And it's just like, maybe, but I think if it moves at that pace, I'm really not that interested. I think the atmosphere in the show is superb. It's really cool. It's just, it feels a bit like nice, I don't know, Saturday afternoon or something. At least the first episode of the show does. And it's just, it oozes atmosphere, but I don't know if that's enough to keep me going, and I doubt it. This first episode was just too slow for me, and not enough plot happening, because I like my plot-driven shows and everything. So it's not comedy driven either, and if they focus a lot on the romance aspect, I'm out too. So this is probably not for me, but it looks, this is a matter of preference in terms of genre and everything, and that's just not up my alley. But aside from that, the show looks really good. So if that's your jam, high school romance story with nice atmosphere and slice of life and, great animation and everything, I'd say check it out.
Mm-hmm. So what's next on your list?
I think I'm gonna do 2 in a row because I've got a lot more, some more shows than you do that only I watched. So let's get 2 out of the way.
Sure.
Maybe you watched one of those 2. We'll see. I don't know yet. Anyway, so the first one is Code Realize, and this is based on an otome visual novel, meaning it's a girl protagonist with a bunch of boys for her to choose from. This is not the reason why I checked the first episode out, because that would have turned me off if I knew that beforehand. But that's just the setup sounded a bit interesting. So it's about a girl named Cardia living alone in a mansion, and she has a condition, a pretty special one, where her body carries a deadly poison that is not harmful to her, but can melt anything she touches. So because of that, she promised her father, who now disappeared for some reason, to stay hidden from the rest of the world, never to fall in love. Basically, her life really sucks. So one day, the royal guards of this country break into the mansion because they want to capture her and use her as a weapon, I think. But she is rescued, or rather stolen away, by the gentleman thief Arsène Lupin. Not Lupin III. Something closer to the original. And he brings her to his mansion. He shares with a few friends of his, among them Victor Frankenstein for some reason, and promises her to help find her father. The show looks fine. The characters are sympathetic, especially the main team of Arsène Lupin and his buddy. I forgot his name, but their interaction is fun and everything. But I don't know if the story will keep me engaged enough to keep watching the show. If this is basically a harem show for girls, I'm out. We'll see. But if this is like, I don't know, turns out into a road movie-esque thing where Arsène and Cardia are trying to Cardia's father and just visit different towns and everything and have some adventures together, that might be cool. I'll give it another 1 or 2 episodes, but right now I'm not sure if I'll stick around for it.
I think one of my friends had played through the game and she really enjoyed it, but she was probably also part of the target audience.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I nabbed it a while back when it was on like PlayStation Plus, so maybe someday on a rainy day I'll play it for ha-has, but I don't expect to anytime soon.
Yeah, we'll see how the anime version fares. Yeah. I don't know if this will turn out to be a review, but I don't know. Anyway, next one is Land of the Lustrous. So this is very interesting. It's about a bunch of anthropomorphized versions of gems and minerals. So I guess it's the anime version of Steven Universe in a way, kinda. Boy. But it's a completely different tone and everything. And look, they all look like girls, but I don't think they have a gender assigned to them or anything. So yeah. Call them what you will, I guess. And they live in like this fantasy world. I don't know if it's set on Earth or something, but they have to regularly fight off weird aliens from the moon who try to, harvest them because, if they get shattered during the fight, they just turn into what they're made of, their mineral or gem. And apparently those creatures from the moon want those raw materials for some reason. So, they got this overseer, I forgot his name, but he, takes care of them and he tells them, prepares them for the fight and everything, and every time these aliens appear, they have to fight them. And our main character, Phosphophilite, or Phos, which is much easier, and that's what she is called by the other gems in the show, is pretty much the weakest of the bunch. She has, a hardening grade of 3 or something, or 2. And she has no fighting prowess or any other skill to speak of. And because she desperately wants to help out and everything, and they really don't know what to do with her, she's tasked to create an encyclopedia of the world they live in. And because she, hasn't really left the house or anything, she seeks out the help of an outcast called Cinnabar, who is also very weak, but she emits a very strong poison and is harmful to the other, gems, and thus, was exiled, pretty much. they become friends. Pretty interesting setup. Pretty unusual setup from the first episode. The design of the show is pretty unique. It's very colorful. There are very, I don't know, shiny effects and everything. Like I said, the setup is interesting as well. So I was pretty interested in it. The problem is, this is a full CG show. You know, the problems that brings that with it, and my gripe with anime CG. I think Orange, the studio working on this, is actually pretty good when it comes to mech animations in CG. They are responsible for shows like Majestic Prince and Knights and Magic, or at least the CG segments in the show, which are, in my opinion, pretty much the best anime CG has to offer, because they do some, you know, on the highlight episodes, they do some real fluid, they're able to deliver some real fluid CG fights with some great camera angles and camera movement. And those scenes always stuck out to me in those shows, and I looked up who is responsible for that, and apparently it's that studio, and they're responsible for this whole show, apparently. And, yeah, the animation itself is not bad. It looks really great in the fights, you know, just like in the other shows, but the characters in the show still have human bodies. They're not robots. So that means, you know, most of the time they have like this typical stiffness to them that comes with, you know, anime CG. And that is just super distracting to me. The design itself is cool, the fight scenes are cool, but when the characters just, you know, stand and talk and to each other and interact normally, it just doesn't work. It's just like this uncanny valley effect that I can't immerse myself fully in the show, because it always feels like, even animation-wise, this doesn't feel right. This looks iffy. And that's a shame, because the rest of the show looks really interesting, and I really wanted to like it, but I think the presentation is gonna be like this giant hurdle that's gonna keep me from, you know, enjoying the show for what it is and what it can deliver. So I'm gonna give it another couple of episodes, see if the story grabs me enough to look past this. But I think this will be a drop, which is a shame. If you don't have as much of a problem as I have with anime CG, though, definitely check it out, because like I said, it's pretty unique looking stuff. So yeah. John, what do you have in store for us next?
Next up is Kino's Journey, The Beautiful World. Mm-hmm. So this is more or less a remake of the old series, right?
So this is originally a light novel series. Mm-hmm. And that got an anime in 2003 already. And yeah, so this is a new adaptation that is partially adapting new stories from the light novel series, but also stuff that was already adapted into the old anime. So it's a mix of both new material and old stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, the gist of the story is it's about a young man named Kino who travels the world with his...
Is it a man? I'm not sure. The gender of Kino is also not given, I think. I think it's not clarified.
Fairly certain.
I think it's not clarified, but I'm not sure. I think Kino is just Kino, but I'm not sure. I might be wrong.
Or maybe it's we'll call Kino that I don't sound stupid. Yeah. Kino travels the world with a companion, Hermes, which is a talking motorcycle of all things.
That's badass. As someone who enjoyed Knight Rider greatly as a kid, I think that's amazing.
It's basically Kino seeks to learn about various countries and expand his or her knowledge and life experiences there. Yeah, I could go off on a rant about how that's apparently not correct to say, but we'll save that for another day.
But it's the accepted,
It's generally accepted, but you're supposed to say his or her.
Yeah, but it's so long.
Kino stays in each country no longer than 3 days, and then it goes on the way. So it's kind of... I never watched the original. So again, be upfront with that. But it's sort of interesting seeing, Kino traveling from place to place, and maybe the world isn't as beautiful as Kino thinks. So
definitely not.
Going through these different experiences and meeting all of these characters, as far as I can tell from just these first 2 episodes, it seems like, there's always going to be someone different coming along, which is neat.
Yeah. I think it's just, it's kind of a vehicle to for the author of the light novels to tell you what he thinks about different political and philosophical ideas and ideologies, and just throw that at the viewer. Or that's what I garnered from it, just in the way of Kino traveling to these different towns that have, these different kind of societies and power structures and everything.
Right.
And, playing around with that, and what, how that affects the human beings living in it and everything, and, their ideas of what life is about and everything. So, yeah. That's interesting stuff. And just, considering that there was already an adaptation, thinking about what is this adaptation bringing new to the table. So, story-wise, that old adaptation from 2003 was apparently really good, but the art and animation supposed to be really low quality. So I never gave that a chance, even though I, had heard it mentioned in, with good words here and there. And I thought, just like this new adaptation would be a good way to see what that story is about. And the show looks really solid, crappy CG, motorcycle riding scenes aside.
Yeah, that's a little odd, but,
Yeah, but apparently the second episode, which I haven't seen yet, so take that with a grain of salt, retold a story from the old series in a really bad way. So,
did it?
Some fans, some fans of Kino are now afraid that this adaptation might turn out to be the opposite of the old show. So, as in good animation but shit-tier story adaptation. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's always a risk of that, depending on what people work on it. I'll give it a few more episodes. I'm going to stick around for a bit and see if it grabs me. But depending on how the story develops, I might drop it. I don't know. But it's right now, judging from the first episode, it looks interesting enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to at some point, considering, people are saying that, just take a look at the original and see how different it is for myself.
Yeah, sure. Just that people have been saying the animation is really not good at all has just kept me from doing that for now. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this new adaptation fares, and then let's decide if we go back to the old one or not.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'll dish out another 2 shows that I watched, I guess.
Do it.
Then I think we should only have common ground after this. So the next show I watch is The Girl's Last Tour. Mm-hmm. And this has kind of a similarity to Kino's journey, as in that the 2 protagonists, Yuri and Chito, travel the land on their Kettenkrat, which is kind of a mix between motorcycle and tank. But it doesn't talk, which is a shame.
0 out of 10.
And the tone and the atmosphere is much bleaker than in Kino. It's a post-apocalyptic world, ruins of war as far as the eye can see, and a lot of gray and everything. And the 2 girls have these military outfits, and they're searching for food and trying to survive day to day to reach their destination and fulfill their mission, whatever that is. So the setup in itself is incredibly depressing, but what makes it bearable are the 2 protagonists, who are really adorable together and always try to make the best of the situation. I doubt this will have a happy ending, but maybe it has some interesting things to say, so I think I'll stick around. Art style might be a turn off for some people. It's kind of weird and cartoony, but I don't mind it. And, first impression of the show was just solid enough to make me want to see more, especially because those 2 main characters really work well together and they're cute and everything. And, I hope they won't suffer too much. So far, it doesn't look like it, but, you never know with anime. This might turn around, especially considering the setting and everything. But looks interesting so far. And the next show.
I don't like the way you're starting.
Yeah, every season I look for crazy dumb trash anime that feeds my hunger for enjoyable nonsense. And it seems Jūni Taisen Zodiac War will bring me my salvation this season when it comes to my needs. This show is about, it's kind of a battle royale type show. So you got a bunch of killers themed after the animals from the Chinese Zodiac. So one is a boar, one is a dog, one is an ox, I think. So they're competing against each other in this kind of all-out battle royale tournament, killing each other, and the last man or woman standing gets their wish granted, whatever it is. Sounds a lot like Fate, but, without the mystical aspect of it. It's not called the Holy Grail or anything. The wish thing might just come down to money and power and influence. I don't know. We'll see. But it's fun. The characters are crazy, wearing stupid-ass costumes. The show is hyper-violent and actually very well animated, at least in the first episode. So we'll see how it fares in the later ones. But yeah, for now, this is the dumb, turn-your-brain-off, hack-and-slash action fest. The plot summary was promising, and the first episode delivered. It's super, super dumb. It's hilarious. It's so dumb. It's so crazy and over-the-top that it's hilarious. You got a fucking muscular, crazy psycho killer man in a fucking Playboy bunny outfit with a giant bushy tail at the back who has like two knives, killing people. It's funny. It's dumb. And I hope it stays that way. And then we'll definitely talk about it in the Trash Test segment next season or whenever the series wraps up. But yeah, looks like a lot of fun. And if you're into that kind of stuff, like, your dumb ass, violent, bloody action movie stuff that is kind of well made from an animation point, but is, story-wise just so dumb that it's funny. This might be up your alley. Check it out. I greatly enjoyed the first episode anyway.
Yeah, I remember kind of looking at the character designs and being like,
those were the draw for me because they looked so outlandish and I was like, okay, I'm in. Let's see what this is all about. Okay, John, what's next? What do you got for us next?
Next is a show we both watched, I'm pretty certain. Blood, Blockade, Battlefront, and Beyond.
Yes!
I love the fact that the localized name works better than the Japanese name because of the and beyond. Mm-hmm. So, this is the second season, obviously, of Kekai Sensen, or, as I said, Blood, Blockade, Battlefront. Try saying that three times fast.
Yeah. Tongue twister.
And it follows the adventures of this kid, Leonardo Watch, who comes to the city Hellsalem's Lot, which used to be New York City until a lot of supernatural stuff happened, and, well, the city was never quite the same ever again. Leo basically goes to the city as basically a photojournalist, if I recall. But he gets wrapped up in all of these crazy supernatural happenings and gets looped in with the group calling themselves Libra to keep the city safe.
Yes, from supernatural beings trying to gain power and take over the city or destroy it or whatever.
It's something different every day in Hellsalem's Lot.
Oh yeah, it's a crazy ride, and the first season definitely was. It was from 2014, and I rewatched that first season last week to reacquaint myself with the characters. And the show is based on a manga by the creator of Trigun, Kazuhiro Naito. Though the first season was an anime original story mostly, if I remember correctly, and apparently the same goes for this new season. So, this is interesting. Because, even if you watch the anime, you've got reason to check out the manga and everything, I guess. So, yeah, which I haven't done yet, but I might, finally, after this season. But yeah, interesting thing about this, beside of, getting one after 3 years again, is the series changed directors between seasons. And I think on the surface level, it's barely noticeable, because the rest of the crew is the same. So the experience is mostly intact. Although I want to say there was a bit more crazy stuff, jammed into single frames in the old series, directed by Rie Matsumoto. Sometimes even too much. I think we both loved the first season, but certain moments and plot developments were hard to follow on the initial watch.
Yeah, a little bit.
because stuff was happening so fast and the scenes were so dense with visual animation and story developments and everything. So yeah, they even had to delay the final episode, which then was double the length to pack everything in there they wanted to show. So yeah, this season might turn out to be a bit more streamlined, depending on how the new director handles it. We'll see. But yeah, the first episode was, pretty much almost just as crazy as as anything the first show had to offer. There's a really good, incredibly well animated scene in there that is makes for a great GIF. really good. So yeah, Studio Bones again at their best, and really, like I said, first season was really enjoyable to watch, and so this second season is a definite must-watch, I think, for both of us.
Oh yes.
And if you haven't seen the first season yet, go and check it out. It holds up. I can attest to that because, like I said, I recently rewatched it. Great music, great animation, awesome characters, just crazy overall. It's just a, cavalcade of crazy shit happening and thrown at you from the screen. So yeah, really fun, really enjoyable. And we'll talk about that, both seasons of that, whenever that review comes up. How many episodes will the new season have? 12 again?
Last I saw was 12, yes, but
all right.
I mean, that could change. Shrug, I don't know. There's some of the other shows. Well, one of the other shows we talked about, I don't think we have a solid episode count, but it showed up on some streaming services having like 24 or 25, so.
Mm. All right. Yeah, but definitely always can do with more. Blockade, Battlefront.
More bones. Yeah.
All right. The next show on my list is another one that only I watched, I think, and that is Last Hero Inuyashiki. And this is a weird one that only aired its first episode like this week. It's about an old man named Ichiro Inuyashiki, and his life sucks. He has a pretty low-income job. His kids kind of resent him for being so poor. Kind of little shitheads. His wife seems to love him, but treats him like a child, kind of. Some of that is, maybe a credit to him being so soft-spoken. He barely speaks up anything. He doesn't complain. He's just, he looks really sad all the time, pretty much. He is 58, but he looks like 80. And yeah, and then one day he finds out that he has cancer and only a few weeks to live. So yeah,
jeez,
that's a downer, right? Like the show starts off on a really heavy note. I'm like, oh Jesus, what is this? Is this depression hour? Holy fuck! So it gets much happier when he comes across a stray dog in a box and adopts it, and I'm like, hey, yay! How nice. He really gets attached to that dog, and that made the character to me immediately like, relatable and sympathetic. So, among the other things that he's going through. So, adopts that dog, names it Hanako. And one day when he takes her for an evening walk, he is caught in the center of a weird explosion and later wakes up with a new and shiny cyborg body. Yep. Apparently aliens or something else is not made clear yet in the first episode blew him up by accident and only had a battle-ready model lying around. So he is equipped with a bunch of super powerful weapons now too. So he then uses his new body to save a homeless man from a bunch of young hooligans. He does that. His new shiny body uploads the shit the hooligans did directly to the internet and outs them as the assholes that they are, so that's handy. And he later, the homeless man thanks him and is like, oh, you're my hero and everything. And, in this very sweet scene, Ichiro breaks out in tears because, he saved someone else's lives and he doesn't feel worthless anymore or like a walking dead person. And that was really nice. It's just This show is just super wacky, and it winks at the audience a lot. Like when Ichiro steps up to defend the homeless man, it's like this really dramatic scene where he steps forward and it's like the music swells, and then he gets blasted by the fireworks the hooligans have in their hand, and it looks really pathetic, and he's like, ow, ow, oh shit, ow! You know, until his super laser weapon is activated by accident and just, you know, just drives them off because they don't know what the fuck is happening, understandably so. It's funny, it's heartfelt, and I really enjoyed it. There's just this weird, quirky show out of nowhere, and with a very unusual protagonist and a really crazy setup. Yeah, I liked it. I didn't see this coming, and I really enjoyed the show. One caveat again, the old demon, the old nemesis, CG. So every time Inuyashiki transforms parts of his body, we get a stiff CG rendering of the body. So sometimes they even use the CG model when he gets out of a car or walks the dog for some reason. Sometimes not. I don't know why. It kind of makes sense for me with, you know, when he transforms his body and everything. But those other scenes and, you know, other times it's just normal 2D animation. So I don't get it. It's weird. Weird choice there. And, you know, we get a stiff dog CG model of Hanako too for some reason when he walks her. It's really weird. I don't know why they did that. It's a weird decision, and I don't think it's necessary, even if they're like, oh, look, he's a machine now. That doesn't even make sense because they used the CG model before he gets turned into a cyborg in the beginning too. Unless, you know, they want to say like, oh, he was living like a robot in the beginning too. Is this some kind of artistic statement? I don't know. But yeah, aside from that, you know, they don't use it that often in the first episode, so I guess I'm fine with it. I can look past it. And if they stay like that, if they only use it occasionally throughout the series, and the premise is so ridiculous, and the main character is so unusual and sympathetic, and I think that's going to keep me interested. I want to know where the story is going because it's so ludicrous. I think I will stick with it. It's just... It's unusual. So, yeah, I'm interested. I want to see where this goes. John,
it certainly sounds like a wild ride.
Yeah, it's crazy. John, the next show you want to talk about?
The next show I have to talk about is the last one on my list. So
yeah, and it's the last one on my list too. We did it again!
Excellent! So the last show is The Ancient Magus Bride.
Mm-hmm.
So The Ancient Magus Bride is all about this young girl, Chisei Hattori. She's an orphan, but she's been kind of tossed around from relative to relative. But she can see spirits, and no one else can, and it's kind of weird because she doesn't quite understand what she's seeing. So that's why she's kind of tossed from person to person because they can't cope with what she doesn't understand. There's a whole bunch of exposition in there that was in an OVA prior to this series. So,
but it's not necessarily necessary to watch these OVAs because I haven't, and I could immediately get what the series was about and everything. So.
Yeah, basically, she ends up volunteering herself to be auctioned off, and she's bought for a large sum by this elderly gentleman named Elias. And he, you know, seems like whatever old guy until he turns out to be quite literally, you know, a faceless mage. He's just, you know, what kind of skull would you describe it as?
It's a demon. It's a demon's head.
Yeah.
Just, you know, it's a demon's skull.
Some sort of demonic weird skull. But anyway, he leads her to this little cabin in the woods outside of London, where she suspects she's going to basically be enslaved to him until he releases Chisei and implores her to be her understudy. So they'll have someone to pass on his teachings, you know, as mages are a dying breed. Mm-hmm. And now Chisei is in this world that she never knew existed of, you know, these different kinds of magics as she tries to adapt to the wonders of this new life.
Yeah. But the show is not called The Ancient Magus Apprentice, it's called The Ancient Magus Bride.
That is true.
Without giving too much away, at the end of the first episode, Elias reveals to her that she's always, that he wants her to become his bride eventually. So we'll see how that turns out. This is probably the most anticipated show of the season. There was a lot of buzz, before the premiere, and a lot of people looking forward to it. It's a manga adaptation, popular shonen fantasy manga, I think. And I think the first episode delivered. On a cool setup. It's a cool fantasy setting, interesting characters, and the OP promises some cool story moments. I mean, the glimpses that we could see in there looked really, really enticing. Seems like there's some dramatic stuff coming and everything. So a lot of hype around that show. Certainly got me interested. So another must watch for now. At least for me. I don't know how you felt about it, John.
Yeah, I mean, one of my friends had been, really excited for this, and I was like, maybe I'll check this out. And I watched the OVAs before the show started airing, and that got me really interested. So I'm definitely looking forward to more of what's to come over the next few months.
Do you recommend me going back and checking out the OVAs too?
I mean, I don't know if it's necessary, but if you want more, of Studio Wit doing what they do and looking really good about it, it's probably worth it.
Is this like in media res or something, or is this a prologue to the actual show?
It is a prologue.
Okay. I'll go back and check them out then. I didn't even know they existed, so there you go.
I think they had like a theatrical showing of them a while back, like put all together in one big thing, and then they just sort of released it in 3 pieces on Crunchyroll. So,
all right. I like the dynamic between the characters. I guess this will turn out to be. I mean, the basic concept for that is kind of like a Beauty and the Beast thing, but kind of totally different when it comes to character dynamics, because Elias is not a rough, hated. I mean, he's kind of an outcast, just by the nature of what he is. But he is a very nice person, and
he's a kindly fellow.
Yeah, and she's just like, I guess, probably the complete opposite of Belle, just in terms of her character. She's very soft-spoken. She's has given up all hope in life. She doesn't know what she wants, and everything. And this is her chance for a new life and everything. And even more so that she can't believe her luck, like when she can take an actual bath and everything, and for after such a long time, and live in this nice house, lie on her own bed and everything. So it feels like a fever dream to her or something, and it's really nice. It's really nice seeing these characters interact with each other. I'm not too fond of Elias calling her his little puppy.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but
it's a weird and demeaning kinda. Anyway, but aside from that, it's cool stuff, and just pretty promising, and it makes you wonder, are these gonna be actually be able to become a couple? Will she be able to love this weird creature? And it's interesting. So we'll see where it goes, but it's a definite must-watch. Animation-wise, it looks really good. I mean, Studio Wit can drop off in quality in certain episodes, but they can deliver real standout stuff too, as we've seen in Attack on Titan, among other things from them. And I am looking forward to more of this. And I think this means we're done with the sneak peek. Whew, Jesus Christ. But we're not done with the show yet, people, because like I mentioned in the intro, we got our first review for the season to talk about, and we'll do that in a few seconds. Alright, so It's My Hero Academia Season 2, and since we've already reviewed the first season in episode 16 of our show, just let me warn you, there may be spoilers for the first season in this review, so just be aware of that. Can't predict all the ways that review might go. I've written down some things, but you never know. So if you just want an introduction to the show, the franchise, the story, check out episode 16, Mandatory Quirks. There might also be some non-specific spoilers for season 2, but I'll try to keep it kind of basic or vague. So, the first season ended on the pupils from UA Academy, or, superhero school, being confronted by the League of Villains in a training center, only barely escaping with their lives, and All Might punching the creation Nomu of the main bad guy, Tomura Shigaraki, through the ceiling of the training center. And what an amazing moment that was.
Yeah, it was.
Bones going all out on that shit. And it was a really amazing moment. And the show had many of that. The second season doesn't waste any time to get you up, into the action again. Like, we get right into the next story arc, or arcs, because this season we get 3 separate arcs, kinda?
Ish.
Yeah. So, first there is a sports festival at the academy where the students have to show their potential in a series of competitions, both alone and in teams. So we got, pretty much a run where the characters have to get to the goal as fast as possible with a bunch of different obstacles in their way. Next is a kind of capture the flag-ish team-based event. And then, of course, you get your standard shonen tournament, as you do. Nobody was surprised. Where the remaining competitors have to face off against each other one-on-one in a ring. And that might as well have been copy-pasted into the show from Dragon Ball. The ring, I mean. It's like the stone place and everything. Looked really familiar. But yeah, it's great stuff. I was surprised how fast that arc went by, considering, the nature of this show and how much shonen shows like to linger in these tournament arcs and everything, and how much time they like to spend on it. But, if you've seen Dragon Ball, you know what I'm talking about. Yu Yu Hakusho too. That doesn't have to be a bad thing, but, I expected this to last much longer. But it's only 1/3 of the second season, and I was surprised by that. I expected, the whole season to be about the sports festival, and the latter half being the one-on-one competition in, the fighting ring. But yeah, it's great stuff. It showcases all the different powers of the people, their strengths and weaknesses, and how they learn to overcome them. We also get some great development for characters, like Deku, of course, our main character, but also Ojako or Bakugo. I think the most interesting character arc in that first part is Todoroki, who's the guy who freezes and can burn things. We learn quite a lot about his difficult youth and the relationship to his parents and everything, and it's really good and emotional stuff. I think that was the highlight of the first part, right?
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Also, one of the fights in the tournament features one of Bones' best animation showcase I've seen. Good God, that was amazing. Whoa, holy shit. You want to see really great animation? There you have it.
I mean, there was a reason why every week when this show aired, Crunchyroll had a part of it on their animation of the week reel.
Yes.
Every week, consistently.
Outstanding work. Not only in one episode, but in several of the show. And this is amazing what a consistently high level this show keeps. With, considering how high quality the character models are and everything. I mean, there are simplified designs in certain parts for sure. But, the action is so great and detailed, and it's really good stuff. So, the sports event leads into the students doing internships and working together with pro heroes, learning how the actual job of hero works in this world. So because it's an actual profession, so Deku gets to work with All Might's old teacher, who is supposed to show him how to better control his powers and everything. But the main story of this arc is not about those internships. Kinda, this is a bit the filler material, but it's more, and it's probably the most important story of the season. It's more about a villain called Hero Killer Stain, who goes around and, well, kills heroes. He's living up to his name.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
No. So he's a very interesting character. He has a very strong ideology that he adheres to with immovable discipline and certainty, which makes him clash with the heroes as well with the League of Villains, because, you know, they got some different ideas about how they want to approach the whole fighting the heroes thing and everything. And the consequences resulting from that clash pretty much kick into gear the story developments for the rest of the series, at least so it seems for now, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff revealed in that arc, and there's a lot of, you know, things set up that are already paid off in this season, but, you know, will get a payoff later on, which is, you can it's a pretty safe bet to save that. I really like the middle arc of the second season. I think it's the strongest one. You know, just how the show incorporated the concept of ideologies and how they can affect and drive certain people was super interesting, and something I didn't expect from, well, yeah, good, well-written, pretty emotional, but in itself kind of pretty simple shonen show. So yeah, that was just a really interesting part, and I wonder if they'll do some more with that later on. I think, you know, it plays a big part in this show, you know, considering what that stuff sets into motion and how, you know, how it affects other characters in the show, and yeah, what that means for further developments. But yeah, I really hope they double down on that and you know, discuss some of that later in the show as well. Did you like that aspect as well?
I agree wholeheartedly. No, I do agree with what you're saying. I just completely lost my thoughts. So
okay.
We could just say that. That's fine.
Okay. Also, again, a very strong emotional core to the climax of this arc, because it concerns one of the pupils and a family member of his. And I think a fan favorite. I think at least he's one of mine. I don't know about you.
Well, it's hard for me to look at this cast of characters in this show and be like, how can I pick out a favorite? Because there's something appealing about everyone. I mean, except for me, Bakugo, because he's a little shit.
Oh, yeah. We get to that.
But, yeah, no, it's hard for me to pick a favorite, but that one character in particular, the story that they give him, sort of, I don't know if it's really on the side there, but, you know, it is aside from the main plot, but it's pretty neat. I like that a lot. Yeah, and it's really emotional, and, you know, you feel for him and everything, and yeah, it's cool stuff. So yeah, really interesting and satisfying. And at the end of the arc, we also get to learn a lot about the origin of All Might and his power one for all. We learn who the main villain and puppet master behind the scenes is. We see the tease for the new players that might join the League of Villains soon, due to how this arc wrapped up and everything. So much cool stuff happening at once. It's crazy. Like, there's so many cool story developments and teases for stuff that is to happen, and we're like, yes, oh my god, oh, I can't wait. This is great. And yeah, then we get the last mini arc, and that is the students having to pass their final exams, which are split up in a written test and a handicap fight with 2 pupils against 1 teacher. This would be the weakest of the 3 arcs, which is not saying a lot, because it's still really enjoyable stuff, and considering how good the other 2 arcs are, you know. But, you know, if it weren't for the final fight, which has a lot of moments in it that I personally have been waiting for since the show began. Yeah.
So this was a real treat. And I had to make a GIF, which I haven't done in a long time. And yes, Jesus Christ, this was so satisfying. The final fight of this and what happens in that, and, you know, how it, you know, which characters it concerns and everything. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. But story-wise, this last arc is just not, there's not that much. Character-wise and story-wise, there's not that much happening. just most of the interesting story stuff happens like in the middle arc with Stain and everything, and he's a very interesting addition, and might return, we'll see. And there's also an interesting part about this show that like sprung out at me. The villains in this show, like some get killed off, some of the Nomos get killed off, but not all of them, and pretty much none of the more important villains. In other shows, those characters might be, the one-time villain and then, killed. But in this show, they get like captured and maybe imprisoned, but they always have to show a chance to maybe come back later. So that's interesting. That felt a bit different, when compared to other shonen shows. So
yeah, I'm not quite sure about the implications of that yet. It seems a little, I don't know about strange, but unconventional.
Yeah, but it feels more like an like kind of an American superhero story where some characters get killed, but they get revived somehow later on, and stuff like that happens in anime too. But usually when Spider-Man fights someone, or I don't know, Superman, they get imprisoned somewhere and then they break out, and then it's fight them again sometime. And it feels like the My Hero Academia kind of adapts that model a bit more than other shonen anime do, and it feels like it's like, okay, we got some inspiration from the Western side of superhero stuff as well, and this is one of them. So that was interesting. It sprung out to me. So I wonder if they will stick to that, because we got a bunch of new villains introduced in this season. Some more than others. We get only a few teases. But yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if they will stick around, or if they will get in prison, or if they will get killed off. Because some heroes take it pretty loosely when it comes to killing off their opponents. Endeavor, for example, he's another shithead too. Just in general, you'll see what I mean if you watch the show. But yeah, he's an asshole. This is maybe one of the downsides. I expected him to maybe get some kind of comeuppance in this show for what he did and for the character he is, kind of, but he really doesn't, and I hope that happens later on, because I want to see that guy get slapped around. But we didn't get that yet, so we'll see. That's pretty much how the story, like how the season goes, and then in the final episode we get a mean tease for what's on the horizon.
Yeah.
Boy, let me tell you.
When they started like teasing stuff out, I was like, you better as soon as you're done showing this clip, say, tune into the third season, and they did, and I was like, yeah! Season 3 has already been confirmed. Woo! Hell yeah. So, yeah. Man, I cannot wait for more Hero Academia. This is the best shonen action series I've seen in a while. It was already good in its first season. Did we pick it for best of the season? Did I pick it for best of the season? I don't know if we even did that segment. We probably did. I feel like we did. Yeah, I think so. And the second season is even better in every regard. Like, I loved it unconditionally.
I mean, when I was writing my shortish notes, like, I usually make a list of like pros and cons. Like, my pros are like so much hype, all the hype. Cons, are there any?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, maybe like I said, some characters get the shaft. Like, when it comes to development, there's not much done with it. Maybe I would have liked to see some stuff done with the Invisible Girl. Maybe we don't really know anything much about her yet, but we get some nice stuff with Tsuyu the Frog Girl, which I really appreciated because she's one of my favorite characters. She got like this nice filler bit in the internship arc.
Probably the best filler episode of any show I've ever watched.
Yeah, it was super cute and nice, and yeah, I liked it. So, and yeah, some characters maybe get the shaft because, there's a giant cast of characters and you have to concentrate on some, and you definitely got your main players and your, side characters who are there to fill the gaps but are not that important to the overall story. And we definitely learned in this season who those main players are.
Mm-hmm.
You probably could have guessed in the first season, but you definitely got crystallized in this season who who's going to be important in the long run, probably, and maybe who not. That doesn't mean that we won't get, some more character stuff for the other cast members too, but yeah, for now, it's like, oh, okay, these characters maybe won't get so much screen time. That's a shame, because they're all interesting, they're all fun. Spare for a few examples. I really wonder where the Bakugo Deku relationship is going. I said that at the end of the first season. I wonder if they will turn out to become friends in the end, if Bakugo will turn around and stop being an asshole, or if he will eventually, I don't know, maybe switch to the villain side because he gets so frustrated with, not being able to catch up to Deku anymore now or anything. So pull a Sasuke or something. We'll see. That has not been made clear yet. I think it's kind of leaning more to the positive side, to the turnaround side.
I would hope so, but
yeah, I won't bet on it. I won't hold my breath.
Yeah. I'll say that the pacing was a lot better than it was in the first series, because was the first series also great? Yeah, but it was slow compared to this one.
Yeah, much slower. Like, there was basically, just Deku getting into the academy, and then they had, like, basically the season finale with in the training center where the League of Villains show up and they fight them off one by one.
Yeah.
Or, in teams and everything. And that was like the main climax. But before that, the stuff that happens before that is like, pretty standard stuff, and it is kind of slow. It's cool because of the characters and everything, but it's not like there's not that much interesting happening. And then you get to the second season.
And it's just like full steam ahead, suckers.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, even the sports arc, which I expected, like the festival arc, which I expected to run much longer, went by in a breeze, like, shoop, and it was over, and it was like, oh my god, that was super fast. That's kind of nice, but it's also, yeah, it's also a shame, like, how fast the season went by. I was like, I knew how many episodes it was, but I kind of was watching the show simultaneously with a friend of mine who, came over once in a while, and then we watched, the new episodes of My Hero Academia and another show we're going to review later in the season. He didn't know that this season would only have only 24, 26 episodes.
I believe it was. I think it was 25.
Or that. Yeah, that's still double the length of the first season, but it went by much faster because of the improved pacing. And when when the credits, as they do in the last episode, run over the screen while the actual scene is still going on, we don't get the ending animation. He was like, wait, is the show over? Is the season over? Oh no! It's like, I'm sorry. Oh shit! I should have told you maybe that that was the final episode. He was so disappointed because he loved the show as much as I did, and it was like, yeah, okay, that definitely felt the same because, like, man, this season just flew by because it was so entertaining, it was so well made, improved on every level. It's such good stuff. It's a fantastic watch. So yeah.
Do yourselves a favor and watch My Hero Academia.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten into My Hero Academia yet, and you love action stuff, definitely remedy that because you're missing out big time. Like, holy shit. Yeah. I think we got nothing more to add to that hyperbolic rant. At least in a positive way. I mean, considering how I spewed my anger in my microphone for Dies Irae earlier, it's nice to end on a really positive note. And it couldn't be more positive than second season of My Hero Academia, because this is definitely a top contender for best of the season.
It's going to be tough to pick this time around.
Yeah, will it get the crown? We'll see, but not today, because that's probably it for our big premiere episode for this season. I hope you had enough lasting staying power to last with us until this final review, because I hope it was worth it. And please, if you haven't watched My Hero Academia yet, do yourself a favor, go for it. It's definitely worth your time. And that is a wrap on the 38th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to virt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Our show is available on most of the popular podcast services, now including Google Play, but it's always worth visiting animebrainfreeze.com for some interesting articles linked in our episode release posts. Follow us on Twitter at AnimeBrainFreeze. We tweet regular updates there. Leave us comments and questions on Facebook and our YouTube channel, or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next show. Macht's gut.
Peace easy, everybody. Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
A girl adventurer and a boy robot descend into a hellish abyss to uncover its mysteries.
And when you don't get the job you quite want, but it ends up growing on you.